And we are lucky to have both of you back. And let's get into the questions.
We made it, Matt. Thank you so much for
Yes.
keeping everyone who's watching. So, wow, you know what, guys? Technology is a great thing when it works. So here we are again. We were literally just asking our first question. I'm just going to flash it one more time. So I heard you won Miss Senior America. Can you tell me more about this? I'm just so curious about this.
I was talked into it, actually. It started when I went backstage to help a friend of mine who was entering the Miss Senior America in California pageant. And I met a few of the queens back there, and they said, you should, with you have the complete package, you should enter. And I said, absolutely not. So they kept harping on me. Finally, I said, okay. So I applied, and I won Miss Conejo Valley. You have to go through the preliminaries. And I won Miss Senior Long Beach. Then I went to state, and I got top talent. I sang opera. I sang Sempre Libera from the Traviata, La Traviata. And so I went to the state, Miss Senior California, and I won that and top talent. And then, top talent is a separate category. Someone in the pageant could win top talent, but not win the whole thing. But I won anyway. Let me cut to the chase.
That's great. Do you have the crown?
Yeah, well, I went, and then I went to the national in New Jersey, and I won the national crown, Miss Senior America, 2012. Here it is.
Wow, let's see it.
Nice.
There it is.
I love it.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So Thank you. It was quite an experience because I had never done a pageant in my life. You know, I mean, it never even occurred to me. But you had to have a philosophy of life. You were graded on, you had points for that, for modeling your gown, for the interview, and for your talent. And they add up all the points, and of course, the person who gets the most points wins the pageant. Then there are 5 runners up, I think, 4 or 5. So it was a peak experience, but I look at it as that I was supposed to experience that for my students.
Sure.
Not just the pageant, but auditioning, the process of preparation, paying attention to details, and making sure that everything is intact and you're totally prepared, not a little bit or almost, but 100.
Well, yeah, and even whether it's a beauty pageant or even the singers out there that were, they're auditioning for The Voice or American Idol or something like that. I mean, just paying attention to the details is a great point.
That's what the difference between professional and amateur are the details. So, that's great. That's what I learned, and of course, you have to know what to tell your students. What are the details? So. Yeah,
this is true. Well, so the next question I have, this is a little more related to Matt was mentioning the book and everything. And so you have a chapter in this book. I think that's super cool. So you want to sing CCM. And so my next question is really, and your bio's in there. I think Matt actually already went through a little bit of that with everyone here, but I'm just curious, why did you create your own contemporary commercial method for voice training? Like, what led to that desire or creation?
Well, I had a studio in New York City for many years, about 15 years, and I was teaching at Hunter College. I was teaching voice class in 1964. And one of the students wanted to sing some Barbra Streisand. Up until that point, I was doing Italian anthology and even German and French lieder and chanson. Believe it or not, I threw that in too. I made it a little harder, but anyway, I said, why not? So she started doing that, and we started working with that. And then I got very curious as to how the voice works in singing that style. So I started listening to albums. In those days we had LPs, and I came across Melba Moore. And Melba Moore was in Hair and then Pearly, and she was very popular African American singer at the time. And I listened and I heard her sing things like the Mix, way up, and I said, "What in the world is that?" And I did it. I said, "Holy cow, that's in the head voice with a lot of mask, a lot of nasal." And that's what piqued my interest, and I started thinking about and teaching pop rock, and in those days we had Carole King, Elton John, Laura Nyro was a big influence on me. So I did a lot of listening and analyzing, and put my own step-by-step method together. That's where it started in the mid '60s. I taught a lot of kids on Broadway. I taught kids in Godspell, Chorus Line, Jesus Christ Superstar, and I had to know what I was doing. I wasn't on a faculty at that point. I was on 2 years at Hunter, but then I left. I was a private vocal teacher and coach for mostly Broadway kids. I was like 25, 26 in my 20s teaching Broadway people. Didn't think twice about it. I helped them. And it was a lot of fun. And little by little, I pulled pieces of that I learned here and I learned there, and I put it all together. And as I went along, students of mine would say, "Well, what, you have a real method. Why don't you write a book?" I said, "No, no, no." It wasn't until 1980, 2 years after I arrived in LA, Los Angeles, that I decided to put my method together in a step-by-step situation. So I called it the Vocal Power Method, and it is a step-by-step method. I had the book, then I put cassettes, then I changed the cassettes to CDs, and then we added a DVD called Born to Sing, which sold thousands. Then recently I put that all together with another book called ABCs of Vocal Harmony, which is a book and 4 CDs or MP3s, and I've combined that into a toolkit for CCM, which I put on my website, because it's everything you really want to know about singing. I hate to put it everything, but it is. It addresses all the techniques that are used in popular singing and not non-classical singing. So it's a toolkit. I have one for teachers and one for singers. Teachers Vocal Power Method toolkit for CCM, and singers Vocal Power Method toolkit for CCM. So it's evolved over the years, and I've enjoyed teaching everything. I have opera singers and I have jazz singers, and I have today I have a heavy metal guy that comes every week and working on all kinds of metal tunes. But it's just the instrument. You treat the voice as an instrument, and as you know, Matt, it's an instrument. It's so capable of so many sounds and colors and resonances and effects. You just have to look at it that way, and not think of it as some sort of mysterious instrument that only my teacher has the answers. No, no, no. I like to share my information with anybody that wants to know. Make it easy. Take the mystery out of singing, basically. Yeah.
Great. So
Cool.
you've got the vocal power. Sorry, man. You've got the vocal power method, and that has something for teachers and of course for students, right?
And for singers, yeah. One
Yes,
for
okay.
singers, because the guide, it's a manual that goes for singers, what to do each day. It's several weeks of study, and for teachers. And there are PDFs in each that are more addressed to singers, and then PDFs for teachers. So I've separated the two courses, one for teachers and one for singers. But the basic material is the same. The ABCs of Vocal Harmony is exactly the same in both, and it's all digital, and it's downloadable on my Vocal Power Academy website. So
Great.
my mission at this age, I'm 78. I've been teaching 63 years. My mission is to help as many singers and teachers as possible. See clearly, make it clear and easy to understand and easy to do. That's my mission. I realize I'm not ready to retire.
Well,
So
that's great. That's our mission too. That's
yes,
partly why we have this platform and do this interview, is to get this information out there.
right.
So, Matt,
Well,
did
and
you cut you off?
well, I was going to say, and one of the things I just love about your interview in the book is this quote here. You say a successful voice teacher should love people and should take pleasure and delight in seeing a student leave their studio happier than when they came in, because that student made progress. A
Yes,
successful teacher should embrace the idea of making a person's life better through the love of singing. We make a contribution to the world when our students succeed. It's like throwing a rock into a lake and the circles get wider and wider until the circles fill the lake. A great voice teacher loves the idea of helping a singer achieve their dream. And I read that and that just hit home because, like, I can't say that was my experience in voice lessons. I mean, I had some pretty rough experiences, and it was just so refreshing to see somebody put that in writing and talking about that as their approach to working with people. And it's inspiring.
thank you. Absolutely. Because I also had some rough teachers. I had some teachers that thought they knew what they were doing, but really didn't. And yeah, it was hard. I had a choice of either giving up singing altogether because I was I had so much tension from incorrect support, for example. I could either have given it up or found answers for myself and for the thousands of people I've taught over the years. So I didn't know that was going to be my future, but I was determined to find the answers because I knew I had a voice. I had a voice before I went into Juilliard. What happened after I left Juilliard? No, I struggled to get through my master's. I had to have 32 pieces for memory ready, 2 recital programs. How I ever got through that, I have no idea. Plus, I was teaching in Hunter College at the same time. So it was a challenge. I can't even tell you. I mean, it was either giving up or going on.
That story itself I share as well. And for those students out there and singers, I think it is a common part of the process, unfortunately, is getting the right help at the right time, and matching with the teacher, with the right student also comes out there, and just knowing what to apply, because your voice is constantly changing. And some things that work for some students, they're not ready to take the information that works for another student. But yet they could be studying with the same teacher. So everyone's, a little bit unique. And so with that, I would just say for the students that are out there that are watching, if you're stuck and you feel like you plateau and you have the option to either give up or keep going, I say keep going. And there's answers out there. Keep looking for them. And if you're a teacher and you want to just, I think the philosophy here that we're talking about is just always helping your students leave the lesson better off than they came in. And there's always something you can help them on that day, even if it's down to being a part-time therapist and a friend and a shoulder to cry on for that moment. So that's great. Do you have anything else you guys want to add on that?
No, after that, she leads into the technique. And so I'd love to pick her brain.
Great. Let's jump into
Ask me about technique. I'll sing for you. I'll demonstrate everything that's on that list.
That's fantastic. Nice. I'm reordering some questions. So the next one, then, you mentioned a variety of registrations in the book, and so I love talking about registration anytime we can. So you mentioned upper register, like the head voice, falsetto, lower register, the chest voice or modal. Yep. And then the mix for higher singing, and then also belting for male and female. So I'm just like, do you want to demonstrate? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to demonstrate anything of those?
Yeah. Okay, so right off the bat, I do head voice and chest voice and mix. Okay, so the head voice exercises that I do, I'm going to give you an exercise to strengthen the head voice. It's about vocal fold adduction. It's not a glottal attack. It's So I start with E's, and that's my Those are the chords isolated. I have my students think of them as if they're in the middle of your mouth and you see them in a mirror, which I say, of course, no, they're in the larynx, of course. But if they think too low, they're going to go. So we just think right forward, right in the mouth. And then soft, dynamic. Then one followed the other. So they're learning how to use their balance of air pressure, subglottic air pressure, and vocal fold adduction. So they have the ability to crescendo, decrescendo. Me and you. So they have that kind of control. That's head voice. Then the chest voice, same thing, adduction. I use the word ow because when you get pinched, it goes right in the mask. Ow! Ah, ah, ah. Again, it's adduction, not glottal attack. It's not that. It's not stopping there and then popping it open, popping the folds open. It's ow, 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 ow. And that ow, because of the tongue shape, helps get the sound, the vibrations from the vocal folds into the mask. So we go ow, 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 ow. Then I do a, 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 a. A, 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 a. So you're learning dynamics in your chest voice. Oh, baby, 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 yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, you learn the exercise and then you forget about it. You get into the song and boom, it works. It's automatic. And from there, from the chest, then I work into the mix. And the exercise I use is ow, 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 starting in chest register about a G above middle C. Ow, 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 ow. No, that's not a G. Ow, 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 ow. Hey, that's in chest. Ow, 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 ow. Hey. I go up in half steps and around a B, I start getting into the mix. Ow, 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 ow. Hey. Ow, 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 ow. Hey, hey, and the chords have to be adducted. Eh, 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 eh. And how you change from mix to chest is three things. You widen the throat space with a yawn, tighten the chords, and add a lot of air pressure. So the slow motion demonstration would be so on that second note, I'm tightening or stiffening the folds, adding air pressure and yawning. That's probably B flat on that second note, feels like. You have your piano there?
E flat to B flat?
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Okay, give me a D. So I'm going mix, chest, 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 chest. All right. So that's chest mix. I differentiate between chest mix and head mix. Chest mix has more vocal fold adduction, stiffer chords, and a chest lean. If you lean your tone into the chest, it's of course perception. You're leaning your tone into your chest. We're not hearing the chest. What's happening is the larynx is automatically dropping, giving more space in the vocal tract. So if we lean in the chest, stiffen the chords, drop the jaw, that's chest mix. It sounds more like chest. A lighter version of that is less vocal fold adduction, lighter, but still keeping the sound in the mask. That's what I call head mix. And then head voice, of course, it's soft palate up. So it's like the soft palate acts as a rudder. When it's up and flips back, blocking some of the nasal. but when it's down, it allows the nasal to go into the mask. So the mix is in head register. This is head register. This is mix. It's in head register. Head mix, chest mix. But that's the chest mix is the one that really sounds like you're belting. Belting to me is singing. You could belt in your head voice. You could belt. It means to me a strong forte, dramatic sound. That's belting in head voice. Belting in mix. Belting in chest. Whoa. So belting could be in any.
I like that tone.
Then I have colors, vocal colors. I broke it down to chest, mouth, nasal, and head. So chest in head voice is chest color, mouth, nasal or mask, head. In chest voice, chest register, we have the colors chest color, mouth, mask, head color, chest register. So you have colors in all the in chest and head and mix. I broke it.
I'm just listening. I'm like, okay, I have so many more questions on each one of those. Thank you for those demonstrations.
I'm watching the comments over here. Robert Lunty talking about how he used to sit in his room and learn to sing. You were his first vocal coach when he was 15.
Yeah, he wrote to me with my cassettes back then. Yeah, that's a while back.
Yeah. And he was asking which cassettes were the first set of 4 cassettes. Which book was that?
That was Sing. That was my first book was 1980, Sing. But then about 4 years later, I expanded the book. Wow. The first book, Sing, had the ABCs of vocal harmony in it as well. It had vocal technique and style, and the mix in 1980. It said the mix. And then the other half of it was the music theory and ear training. And it had 1 cassette. And on the music theory and ear training side, I recorded that on my friend's out of tune upright straight through because there was no way. It was in his living room and there was no way. There was no digital. It wasn't in a recording studio. I had to keep going with the script for half an hour on scales, intervals, chords. It was funny. But then I expanded it to 4 cassettes, sold a whole bunch with that, and then to the CDs. And now, of course, it's all digital on my website, the Vocal Power Academy, and it's the toolkit that's available to anybody who wants to learn this method. I would say what differentiates my method, the mix now these days, everybody's teaching the mix for the last 20 years or so. But the vibrato, you asked me about diaphragmatic vibrato.
Yes.
Right? And you wanted to know why I call it diaphragmatic. Well, because I didn't know what else to call it. Because the pulses seem to be coming from where the diaphragm is closest to the the outside here. It could also be called abdominal. But lately, I've decided to call it the pulse vibrato because Matt Johnson was calling it the pulse vibrato. I don't know if you know Matt from Vocalogical. He's got his own page. So you can call it what you want, but they're little pulses not obvious, not hey, not like that. Although we learn this vibrato. This vibrato is used for sustaining notes, long sustained notes. Okay, let me go back. There's 5 vibratos.
1 second before we go into the vibrato, I wanted to ask, with all that registration, and I heard the different, so many different colors you talked about too, but then just the configurations of the registers that were happening. Do you talk about the depth or the apogeo or leaning into that? Because some of those I could hear more pressure versus less pressure.
Okay.
So
the Well, appoggio means lean, and the support that I teach is a leaning. It's you breathe in, you expand your rib cage, right, and then it's a leaning with the subcostals. It's the same muscles like Paul Pavarotti has says as going to the bathroom, staying in that position till the end of the phrase, to quote him. So it's an out and down rather than what I was taught at Juilliard, up and in and pull up and in, which does absolutely nothing. So it's just like blowing up a balloon, and I have my students think of blowing up a balloon or the a gentle cough, but gentle. But it's the going to the bathroom muscles, and I have them do and feel it very low in the back and around the whole group of muscles, but not the stomach and not the groin. I don't teach it. If they feel that, that's a result of the out and down air pressure, and it's a poggio, and it's a leaning. It's hey. Now, if you're singing louder, you need more vocal fold adduction, stiffer chords with more air pressure at the same time. Hey, softer. Hey, less of both, less stiffness, less adduction, less stiffness of the vocal folds, and less air pressure. Hey. And then if you're gradually, if you're doing the crescendo, you gradually increase the adduction, increase the air pressure at the same time. So I'm working with my support muscles, the whole group of support muscles, and it's an out and down appoggio. Okay, so
Got it. And that sorry, I skipped. I messed up asking the question, but you mentioned in the book you learned that from, was it Eric Thorndall,
Eric,
about balancing the air
yeah,
pressure at the
yeah,
vocal fold level?
yeah, Eric Thorndall. I wanted to mention him in my book because when I was like 22 years old and wanting to give up, I was working with him. He was accompanist for Madame Novikova, who taught people like Nicola Guerra and George London, a few people like that. And he's the one that said it's the out and down, and the vocal folds have to come together. So that's where I first got that idea, and then I embellished on that, expanded it, and put it in different registers, and um, got a little more expanded, I would say, how to do crescendo, how to do decrescendo, and that on top of that, the vibrato techniques.
Got it. So now I think I'm ready for the diaphragmatic
Yeah.
vibrato. So
Okay.
so
And the
with that, we've
colors.
talked registration. Now we've talked about maybe leaning into that down and out,
Right.
or out and down, as you say,
Yeah.
with intercostal. So what do you mean by diaphragmatic vibrato?
Okay. So diaphragmatic vibrato is a fluctuation of pitch and volume for the voice. For a violin or a stringed instrument, it's just a fluctuation of pitch. You see what I'm doing? I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, just that's a fluctuation of pitch. But with a wind instrument,
Right.
like the voice, it's a fluctuation of pitch and volume. On the pulses, it's louder, and between the pulses, it's softer. On the pulses, it's on the pitch. Between the pulses, it's slightly under the pitch. So let me demonstrate in my chest voice. Hey, here, I'm going to slow it down. Hey. So you can hear on the pulse, it's louder. There's more volume. Between the pulses, it's softer. Hey. Now, with this kind of vibrato, I can slow it down if I want, or I can speed it up. Hey. If I really want it fast, I add throat at the end for excitement. And throat vibrato is throat vibrato is not a fluctuation of volume. It's just a fluctuation of pitch, and it's actually done with the base of the tongue. We feel it in the larynx, so that's why I called it throat vibrato, because you feel it going up and down. Fly me to the moon, and the larynx goes up and down. You, as a result of the base of the tongue actually moving the pitch, moving the chords, the folds. So it's ah. Actually, it's a fluctuation in pitch, but not, that's what I said, but not volume, because we're not dealing with added air pressure. When you add the air pressure, it's louder on the pulse. Hey, But if you're doing A, it's not louder. There's no pulse. It's just a fluctuation of pitch. And then that's throat vibrato. Then there's the shimmery vibrato, which is day, ba, ba da ba da ba ba. And that is a fast throat vibrato, still done with the base of the tongue. I discovered that only recently, that it's not the throat, it's the tongue, which then affects the motion in the larynx and makes you think, oh, this is my throat. And that's used, both the throat vibrato and the shimmery vibrato are used in jazz. The throat vibrato is not used in classical, but the shimmery vibrato is used in classical. And if I want to hold a note, say it's a high B flat. Can you play a B flat for me? The high one?
Sorry.
B flat? Is that B? B as in boy.
Oh. B as in boy. B flat.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if I'm singing say the end of an aria of the cadenza, and I have a B flat, and I'm holding the B flat, I'm going to start that. I'm going to do that right away with diaphragmatic vibrato. It's right. It's called sulfiato, vibrato sulfiato on the breath. I'm going to start that with a nice even pulse, and then for excitement, I'm going to add throat to my shimmery vibrato to speed it up, because the diaphragmatic vibrato can't go that fast. It's a big muscle. It can go it's a big muscle, so it can't go, can't do that. But the tongue back there can make it fast. So let me show you. This is how I would do a high B flat at the end of an aria and come down. Hope this isn't too loud. So you're going to hear me start out with diaphragmatic vibrato, then I'm going to add the shimmery vibrato for excitement. So I slowed it down just to show you for a second, did the slow motion thing.
Brava.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
that's how I teach, whether they're opera, from a baritone to a coloratura. That's what I teach. Diaphragmatic vibrato for holding notes. Jazz, that's diaphragmatic vibrato.
God, in the book you mentioned vibrato type: slow, fast, wide, narrow,
okay.
straight tone, and delayed.
Yes. So here's slow. One of these days. That's slow. Here's wide. One of these days. Wide in pitch. Fast. One of these days. I use my shimmery vibrato, my throat tongue vibrato, and delayed. One of these days.
At the end, right? Okay.
And if I want to do diaphragmatic into shimmery, one of these days. So you have control of every aspect of singing, every single aspect. Then I have special effects: the back L, the creaky door, the
we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
So good. That's so good. Okay, so you mentioned in the book too, and so I just asked the question number 7. Why do you think vibrato control is a major issue?
I'll give you several reasons. First of all, supposing a person can only do ha, thank you, next. You cannot be in a choir and have an uncontrollable vibrato, whether it's ha or you have to be able to sing a straight tone in a choir. You just have to. In a recording studio, you have to have a straight tone. You have to blend with other singers. Anytime you're blending with other singers, you cannot have an uncontrolled vibrato. You cannot have an uncontrolled vibrato. You have to be able to control your vibrato with straight tone, and hopefully all the other kinds of vibratos that exist. I didn't mention the other vibrato. The first vibrato is Edith Piaf. La viola rose. which is beautiful. And Celine Dion, you know, she's French Canadian. She uses that in My Heart Will Go On. You can hear it when she goes, da, 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 da. I demonstrate that in my workshops. I play, you know, all the way through my workshops. I demonstrate every aspect of vocal technique. But that's a French cabaret style, and I don't teach it because unless you're going to do French cabaret or you want to imitate Edith Piaf. The last vibrato, the fifth vibrato, is something I just recently came across. And this is the one that's used by singers like Rihanna, Ariana Grande, and I call it the Mid-Eastern. It's not in my book. It's in my workshops, though. I call it Mid-Eastern because it's actually, it's almost a trill. There's actually two pitches, half step apart. You'll hear it just listen to anything of Rihanna, or especially like a song like Diamonds in the Sky, or Ariana Grande's latest tunes. It's all there. And so many singers, if you're listening for it, it's rampant. It's everywhere, that vibrato. And we as teachers have to be aware of it and not correct our students because they're doing the style of the day. So the importance of vibrato is that you don't clash with other singers, so that you have control over it for artistic value. It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills. I wouldn't go thrills, and delights me. Oh no, diaphragmatic. It's just the nearness of you. So the control, it's an artistic tool. It's a tool for artistic expression, vibrato.
Awesome answers.
We have a
get it.
We
Matt.
have a question that popped in. Shauna is asking, which vibrato does Josh Groban use? Would you consider that the French cabaret vibrato?
Sometimes, yes. Not all the time. He uses diaphragmatic a lot. Diaphragmatic.
I feel like it's changed too throughout his career. His vibrato today is different than it was when he started a little bit.
It's a little of the cabaret in some songs, but
yeah.
Like what's that? Not When Beneath My Wings Is Like That. That song. On his
You lift me up.
You raise me up.
You raise me up. Yeah, he uses a lot of diaphragmatic vibrato in that particular song, but he uses both. But he does use a little cabaret sound. He does.
Cool.
The French cabaret sound. He does do that. Yeah.
Got it. Next question, 8. Matt, do you want to get this one?
Sure. What do we got here? Where are we at in this?
Special.
Oh, yeah. So
the 6 things.
The 6 things about style. So in the book, you started to talk about this just a minute ago, but you talk about vibrato type, register type, vocal color, special effects, pronunciation, and licks and runs. Can you just kind of go into that a bit?
Yep. I did everything but licks and runs and special effects. So special effects, this is all in, me listening to singers and saying, what is she doing there? What is she doing there? Christina Aguilera uses a lot of what I call back L. I didn't know what to call it. It's like, oh, you press your tongue back, oh, and that's, oh, baby, baby, baby. And by the way, that really helps in chest voice on G, A flat, A, and B flat to get a better sound rather than, if you give me a G. So instead of, if you put a back L, it pushes the larynx down. I know this sounds like, oh my God, you're moving the larynx in the tongue. No, it helps a lot to get those real full chest sounds open, the back L, but it's for style. Fly me to the moon. If I just do fly me to the moon, that's nice. But I could also go, fly me to the moon. Oh, baby, baby, baby. Louis Armstrong uses a lot of back L. That sound. But you don't have to exaggerate it. It's for stormy weather. Stormy weather. Instead of stormy weather, you have choices. You can do that in your head color. stormy weather, or nasal, stormy weather, or mouth, stormy weather, or chest, stormy weather, or back L, stormy weather. So you have choices to create your own sound, your own style. You're not stuck with your voice. Your voice, all you were born with is wah when you were smacked on the rear end. That's it.
We have
Everybody,
talked about cry mode for
we
sure.
all have
Yeah.
we all have the same anatomy. We have vocal cords, lungs, rib cage. In other words, the same components, different shapes, different ranges, and so forth. But the voice, you use it the same way. You breathe, you support. I believe in a lot of it crosses right over.
So that's the back L, then the throat cry.
Yeah, throat cry is this, oh dear, please help me. That's in the head voice. That's just putting a cry. It's in Italian. It's called pianto di gola. Oh dear. That's a cry. Otherwise, it's oh dear. And singers wonder why they're not exciting because they go oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Of course, being Italian helps. No, but that's the throat cry. Then the throat laugh is, my dear Marquis, let me see. You put a laugh. Now, let me go back into pop. The throat cry. I'm gonna love you till somebody loves you, come rain or come shine. That's the throat cry. So you can put throat cry in any genre, in any range. That's mix. That's head. That's chest. So the throat cry, the throat laugh. It just, when you think laugh in your throat, the configuration of your throat automatically changes. Hi, baby, I'm gonna love you like nobody's loved you. Come rain. Put the back L with a throat laugh. Come rain or come shine. See? So
It's awesome.
So
Yeah, I got a 2.5-year-old. I'm trying to move from cry mode like constantly to the laugh mode. It's not going well. I might try to get him to watch this video.
What are those exercises? Yeah, exactly.
And then
this creaky door. Creaky door was
is simply vocal fry.
Okay.
Every time it's part of emotionality. It could be sexual. Oh, baby, love won't let me wait. The look of love is in your eyes. It's done in the front part of the initial the vowel of the word. Eyes. I'm exaggerating, of course. That would be ridiculous, but that's what it's used for: sensuality, pain. And I mean, these are all little things that help establish your own vocal signature, if you would say, your own vocal
Your
print.
toolbox, yeah.
So I'm curious, when you're teaching these things, are you building exercises for each one of these concepts, or are you mainly integrating this when you're working on songs?
I'm integrating when I work on songs. I don't do exercises with a back L. No.
Yeah, I was just curious.
And working on songs, I very much believe in building your own style by listening to other singers and copying and keep listening to. And I work in the studio with YouTube, and we do chunks at a time. I point out this, I point out that. You hear this sound, you hear that sound. Let your ear be the guide. Marvin Keenzy, in his workshops, always says, "Let your ear be your guide." So once you understand something mentally, get your mind out of it. Let the ear take over and guide the voice.
Yeah.
So I believe in imitating the style, whatever style it is, from rock to opera to. I modeled my Traviata. I did La Traviata, the whole role, and out of Anna Moffo. I loved her interpretation, and I went phrase by phrase through the entire opera emulating her emotionality, her feel. And I came kind of close. She's amazing. But
What
whether
I don't think a lot of young singers understand is that like a lot of our earliest rock bands, that's how they found their sound. I mean, there's a story about the Rolling Stones that what they would do is they would go grab every blues album that came out, they'd imitate it and learn everything exactly, and then they'd start combining all of the different ideas they got, and that's how they discovered themselves.
that's exactly how. And you keep doing that. You rotate. You keep using different singers in the genre that you're working on, so that you don't become a duplicate of Ava
Yeah.
Cassidy or Barbra Streisand. You don't want to do that, or Bette Midler. But you go from one to the next, and you imitate, and eventually your own sound evolves, and
Yep.
it just happens naturally and automatically. But you cannot develop your own style isolated on some island somewhere. That doesn't happen. If you were
Nope.
born on an island, you would never know the difference between opera and country western.
But for some reason that has gotten to be, there is such a stigma around any kind of imitation, and I just think it can become such a crippling roadblock.
No,
do you know
Listen,
do you know the book Steal Like an Artist?
No.
Yeah, I think you would love it. It's like $7 on Amazon. Everybody watching, it's one of my top books that I always recommend. But it's a guy named Austin Kleon, and he goes through talking about filmmakers and visual artists and musicians. And he says, it's very similar to what you just said, is that he says that no artist creates everything in a vacuum, that they all have their influences. And then he brings in quotes of the great visual artists and filmmakers talking about their influences and how that helped them find their thing. Well, and I love that you're talking about that, because that's a message I think the young singers need to hear, is go ahead and learn by imitation. It's not
absolutely. And the other thing, I got to get to the blues and pentatonic scale too for licks. I'll show you something interesting, but I wanted to say every jazz artist, every musician, every instrumentalist, whether it's jazz or classical, has listened and imitated note for note. I mean, John Coltrane. I took a jazz piano class at Manhattan School of Music one time, and they handed out transcripts of his, and you couldn't believe the notes, but you studied those notes, you studied the scales, and you emulated. Every musician learns from who came before them, and if you want to know who the influences are of a particular artist, go back to their teen years when they listened to the radio. Whoever was on the radio at that time, those were the influences.
That's a great tip. I love that.
Those were the influences. Yeah. So
I dropped the link into that book. So what were there are a few other
the licks and the runs. Okay, licks are short, like whoa, 3 little notes. That's a lick. But a run is whoa, yeah. And you have to know, you have to know.
I love it.
You have to know your blues scale, and you have to know your pentatonic scale. Pentatonic scale is very prominent in R&B singing. Whoa, whoa. Even melody lines. There are songs there's an artist, his name is Music, Musiq, and he has a song that's the entire melody from beginning, first note to end, is all pentatonic notes. No other notes but the pentatonic scale. Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, those singers, Christina Aguilera, it's completely whoa, 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 pentatonic. Not very often a blues note. It's mostly pentatonic in R&B. So you got to learn those. Now, here's the key to how to sing them. Because I'm a coloratura soprano, I transferred my coloratura technique. I call it pop coloratura. So my coloratura technique is very much involved with the adduction of the vocal folds. And so I teach. It's like playing the piano with your fingers, only using your chord. Da, 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 da. So I use the same technique with licks. vocal fold deduction. Eh, 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 woo. It's coloratura, but it's in pop style.
That's
The thing
amazing.
about this is that teachers that teach, if they don't like pop singing, they shouldn't teach it. If they don't like non-classical, stick to classical then. If you don't like what a belting sound sounds like, don't try to teach it. Send that student to someone who enjoys teaching that kind of music. Or you have another choice. Start understanding what's so beautiful about belting and what is so interesting about the mix. Start embracing that which you don't know very much about, and maybe you'll start to like it. Open your horizons. Don't be a stick in the mud. I don't care how young or old you are. There's music is music is music. It's out there. And as somebody you said the other day, 80% of what's on the radio is hip hop, for goodness sakes. Open your eyes, open your ears, get with the program.
We posted Baba Tunde's music video. If you guys haven't seen that, check the page. But opera with hip hop, infused. It's just there's so much out there.
Well, that's what I've been. One of my things that I'm always preaching and yelling from the rooftops is only 2.2% of the population in the United States goes to an opera in any given year.
Hello.
That is minuscule. Yet the majority of our voice programs in this country are all vocal performance. There's 7,000 students in vocal performance degrees preparing for jobs in 100 opera companies. And we just can't keep doing that. I mean, it's like you said, there's just too much that's out there, and it's beautiful. It's incredible. Did I lose my partners?
Are they there? Here. Elizabeth, I don't know what happened to.
No.
I'm going to try and bring her back in, see if she's still there. But we might.
Oh, she's here. Good. But
can you see her? I can't see her.
I've got her.
Remember.
Okay, so
the vocal power method.
Anyone else hear her? Because I'm not seeing her, and that's fine. I don't need.
I've got her.
You've got her audio too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just confirm with the audience, and I'll go blind on the rest of it just because we've had a couple of hiccups with this software here.
Today is killing us,
Let's just double check that we've got Elizabeth. So, and then I'll let you ask the rest of the questions.
It looks like she's still there.
I'm here.
Okay.
All right. So
let us know. You guys can still hear. Great. So we'll keep going. Matt, you can just ask the questions then. The next one we were going to move into, and I loved it. I'm just going to say, don't be a stick in the mud. Welcome to the 20th. Oh, wait, it's 21st century. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. 21st century. Okay. The last questions moving on to the agenda then was we're going to talk about our core beliefs. So question number 9, I'll let you guys go on this one, but let's have her go through the core beliefs.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of touched on some of this, but I'm going off of, again, this thing you said, a solid vocal technique enables us to freely express our emotions and, above all, honor the music, composer, and lyricist, not merely sing the note. Then you say breathing and support must be consistent, correct, and automatic. And then you say control of vibrato and even the ability to sing with no vibrato is essential in today's market. You say control of dynamics, which I don't think we've talked a ton about, a little bit at the beginning. The ability to balance breath pressure with the vocal folds for all dynamics from piano to forte, as well as the ability to crescendo and decrescendo. And then control of vocal coloration. For expressive singing, one must have the ability to alter the configuration of the vocal tract to enhance the emotion of the word or phrase. And so we were just curious if you wanted to elaborate on any of that we haven't already discussed, because I think we've covered a lot of it. This has been great.
We covered a lot. The dynamics, meaning the vocal fold deduction in balance with the subglottic air pressure. I hate the word support because it conjures up the image of lifting up, supporting. So in singing, it's the opposite. It's out and down. Make sure you don't say down and out. It's out and down that way. So basically, for louder, it's more air pressure balanced with vocal fold deduction. So if I'm singing louder, I'm going to bring my core together a little stiffer. I mean, they're
Yep.
muscles, five layers of muscles there. A, softer, less adduction. The yawn helps with getting the chords looser, but less air pressure at the same time. So if you want to fluctuate, go from loud to soft, you start with more adduction, more air pressure, and gradually release the adduction to abduction while you're decreasing the air pressure. And when you're doing that with the vibrato, then the pulses start stronger and then gradually one by one decrease in air pressure. So it would be a slow motion would be this. And then normal would be but the vibrato is kept steady through the whole thing, and the chords and the air are working independently, but they all work together because you can't separate the diaphragmatic vibrato from the support. Support is consistent, but the pulses are along with the support. And sometimes I say, you think of a straight tone and adding pulses to a straight tone when a singer can't quite get it. When they're going, no. Let's do a straight tone. And listen for that straight tone because that's your consistent tone that's running through till the end of the phrase. So it's not an up and down feeling. It's like wave-like motion out from you, smooth and out, legato.
That's awesome.
Dynamics, whether you're what I'm doing is increasing my air pressure as I'm increasing the adduction. I don't think about it. I just do it because my ear guides it, because I've done the exercises. Once you do the exercises, you leave them alone, and then you just get up and you sing your song, and it's there automatically. You don't have time to. You've already, by the time you're singing your song, you've already put this together mentally and physically. So
well, what I'm noticing is you're talking through the technique. It seems to be really designed around developing somebody's motor system so that these motor skills are automatic so that the story leads the way.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
It's about honoring the lyric.
That's another one of the things you come back to in the book chapter.
The lyric and the music. But the lyric, I would say, I mean, if we want to honor the music only, then don't have a lyric.
Yeah.
If you want to honor the lyric only, then don't have the music. Go recite a poem. But if they are joined together, and hopefully the composer was smart enough to express the lyric in a beautifully musical way. And it's our job as singers to honor those lyrics and the music. You know? Yeah, in our own way. Of course, in opera, there's tradition, and you can't sing De Vieni.
But you know what? If you did, it might be interesting, and it might get some people to come check it out.
Well, that's one way to come to the opera, sure. Or you can't do it. See, the thing about opera singers who try to sing pop, they put vibrato everywhere.
Yep.
No, you can't sing. You can't. Oh, Miss, what's this? Oh my gosh. When Sunny gets blue, her eyes get gray and cloudy. No, you can't do that. When Sunny gets blue, straight tone into a vibrato. It's blue. The note is blue.
Which comes back to one of the things you mentioned in here that we started with earlier, is that a successful voice teacher should be knowledgeable in the techniques needed for the style he or she is teaching. And I think that's one of the things you're nailing right there, is that, it is different. Mine, I have a classical background as well. I was singing with an opera company before I took this job at Shenandoah. And I tell people all the time, it's different. Sitting on stage in a 1,500 seat house with no microphone is so different than singing to a microphone in front of your mouth.
Absolutely.
And, that's why it's just not the same.
When I teach, I have a mic. I have a mic in my studio. So
awesome.
For my pop people, not for my classical people. And for the exercises, no mic, but for the songs, mic. Because it's not a matter of amplification. It's a matter of expression. what you can do on a mic, you cannot do without a mic. You can't sing
Nope.
instant breathy sounds and have them come across to a big audience. You have to have a mic for pop, but not for classical. I once asked my friend Cynthia Munzer, who sang with the Met for many years.
Oh, yeah.
I said, what do you, we were exchanging lessons. I said to her, what do you do for piano? Do you sing piano? She says, honey, there's no piano in opera. I said, really? She said, really? So,
It's a color. One of the conductors I worked with always said that piano is a color. It's not a volume level.
Well, that's true too. That's
You know, otherwise you'll never be heard.
And then to say nothing of vowels. I mean, the vowels, sure, you can go through all the tongue and lip vowels and the diphthongs, but they're different from classical to, now we can't even say pop. Within pop, you've got country, you've got jazz, you've got rock, hard rock. When those kids are singing heavy metal, the top of the scale, above the staff, you can't be singing clear words. It's very syllabic up there. I told my guy today, you got to sing everything through a whoa, 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 hey, sleep, you can't go dee, 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 dee. In opera, we don't do that. Opera composers don't write lyrics in the top and above the staff. There's one note here or there, and an O or an ah, but they stay away from e's and oo's, to say nothing of that doesn't happen.
This is a great question, since you've spent so many years in LA working with clientele, as it seems to me that when the major record labels had control, we heard some more homogenized vocal qualities. Like when you go back to listen to the hair metal bands, and the big hair bands, and then some of the female pop singers in the 80s and 90s, it seemed like there was more of a sound. But it seems to me that today, we live in a Spotify nation where people are doing their independent releases, and now vocal colors and qualities are all over the place. And it really is unique that sells.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. Instagram is a big place to get followers, thousands and thousands of followers. Just record in your own living room and then put your MP3 on there. And I've got so many students. I mean, that's why recording studios are not, they're dwindling in numbers, because the people have their garage band,
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many styles and sounds, and I mean, my student comes in, oh, I like so and so. I never heard of so and so. I know, who's that? Am I not keeping up? No, there's literally thousands of singers out there doing their own.
You can't keep up.
You can't. It's impossible.
It is.
And to say nothing of music theater. Music theater isn't Oklahoma carousel, and you got the belter and you got the soprano anymore. No. It's Kinky Boots. It's Jersey Boys. So that's where the voice teacher has to wake up and say, look, I got to learn how to teach this stuff.
But one of the things I think that should be encouraging to the teachers watching this is, for you and I, who both live in this all day, every day, teaching this, we can't keep up, right? Yeah. And then what I love is that you're talking about using a resource that everyone has available to them, YouTube, using the tools that you've outlined with these color qualities and whatnot from your method, and then sitting with the student and working through it together. Right. So that it's not about.
I go phrase by phrase. I go in detail. I go sometimes a word. What is she doing there? You hear the vibrato there? Do that vibrato. You're not doing a vibrato right there. She's doing it. You're not going to sound like that unless you do what she's exactly doing. And they get it in their ear. It's training and tuning the ear, to refining what to listen for. Otherwise, just hearing notes. They're not hearing colors and where the vibrato is, and the mix and the head, where she goes into head or he goes into falsetto. I'm training them to listen better so that they can guide their own voice.
Yeah.
And it's all
that's a different world. It's no longer the days. I mean, I think that there used to be a tradition that the voice teacher in the classical world was an expert on everything and they had all the answers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was easy to do that when you study the same Mozart operas that have existed for the last, 150, 200 years. But that's not our world. And so I think if you're a classical teacher who's out there listening to this or watching this video and you're thinking, can I do this? You absolutely can. you just have to accept that this is different. You're not expected to be an expert. You're expected to be a guide. And we're all working to become experts along the way, but the industry is changing so fast that we're just trying to continue to explore and learn and be the guide of, people with the music that they bring.
Let me put this to the classical teachers. Would you teach an art song of Richard Strauss exactly the way you would teach a Puccini aria? I don't think so. Different colors, different use of vibrato, different phrasing. In Strauss, you'll have straight tones. Even Puccini you would, because it's impressionistic. But okay, so take Verdi or take Mozart. Bach. Bach. Yeah.
Trying to go from a Bach cantata to then go on to sing a Verdi opera, you're talking night and day. Night and day.
Colors, vibrato, emotionality, throat cry. You wouldn't sing a "Do this my meal." That would be ridiculous, No. You wouldn't do it that way. So,
but you got to remember. But the other thing is I think the classical teachers need to remember that the opera singers in Handel's day were some of the earliest riffers.
Exactly.
They were riffing all over the place.
Absolutely. On the Da Capo aria, you have to make up your own embellishments. And in the Rossini arias, a lot of the singers made up their own cadenzas, and that was perfectly acceptable. No, but today we go to see Traviata, we expect to hear Violetta do exactly those notes. Why? Why should she have to do? Why does she make up her own cadenza? So as many variations as there are in classical, that's how many there are in pop. You've got country, you've got hip hop, you've got jazz, you've got metal, all kinds of metal. There's different types of metal too.
Oh yeah.
There's soft, there's hard, there's this, there's that, there's metal, there's that. I tell you, I get an education every time I teach.
That's true. Very true.
Every time I teach, I learn as much as my students do. And I want to make sure that I say this one more time, and that I've got this toolkit that's on my website, vocalpoweracademy.com, and it's for teachers and for singers. I started out at $500. It's down to $99. It seems to be a nice price point, and it's loaded with material. Loaded.
Awesome. We can drop that link in here as well. And make sure it's up on the page so that people know where to go.
I just want to help people. I don't want to give it away for nothing, but and it's not about money for me. It's about sharing, and it's about saving people from wanting to give up, but move on and realize that they can do it with the right techniques and the right approach. And another thing, if you're with a teacher that is degrading and demeaning, get the hell out.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not you. It's some person who is bitter and didn't have their career or for whatever reason. You should be with a nurturing, helpful, supportive, loving, caring teacher who wants to see the best for you, not the worst. That doesn't put you down and blames you for not getting their technique. Get out.
Yeah.
Change teachers. Sorry.
No, thank you for that, because I wish somebody would have told me that a couple times along the way and really pushed that, because there unfortunately is a lot of people out there who their power is more important than empowering the student. And like I said at the beginning of this, one of the things I love about when I read your chapter in this book was you talking about empowering the student and putting them first. You're incredible. This has been an amazing time getting to chat with you.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Mike. I really enjoyed it very much. And I just got back from Italy, 3 cities, doing workshops and training more teachers. I've got over 50 teachers throughout Italy. So yeah, it's second home over there. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah. So anyway,
Tracy Ford's singing your praises here too. She says you're one of the best teachers she's ever studied with. She said, if you can study with you, please do it.
Oh, she's great. We're having a lot of fun working together. I love Chicago. I just want to say, last Saturday I went to the Chicago Bar Association Orchestra, and the first soloist was Neil Posner. I said, he looks familiar. Turned out to be my accompanist 40 years ago when I did a show called Opera de Popra in LA. We did it all over, one-woman show. I started with Una Voce Poco Fa and ended up with Stand By Your Man. And he was my pianist. And I said, you he looks so familiar. He's got the same name, same stature. He's still bald. It turned out to be Neil Posner. He moved to Chicago, and here we are. So
It's amazing.
I'm
Small
enjoying
world.
it. I just want to help as many singers as I can.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
you. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear Mike or not, but yeah, this has been wonderful. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who are watching, if you just tuned in a little bit later, we're going to have this up on the Facebook page here for a while. Voicelessons.com Facebook page. Make sure to like the page so you can be aware of further future interviews as well. And this will be live for at least the next month, so you can go back and watch it in its entirety. Yeah. Mike?
Hey guys, I couldn't hear Elisabeth for the last couple of minutes, but the conversation seems amazing. Elisabeth, I just want to say thank you. Now I'm having computer problems, so it's just a blessing to have you on the show here, to be able to talk to you, for you to be able to, just be able to bestow and give the information, the experience that you have, and what you've done, I think, for the industry and teachers, and creating your own method and just sharing that with everyone. So thank you for that. I dropped your link in to that, where people can get more information. I'll have to go back and rewatch everything. And it looks like she dropped too. So, hey guys, I just want to say thanks for tuning in. We've got some more exciting things coming up this summer. So it's summertime. Matt's on the beach. Matt, thanks for joining us. Have a great vacation, everyone. If you have share this, like this, tell all your friends, come on in, and we'll be actually sharing some stuff next month, more about the platform. So stay tuned, guys.
Bye. Have a great week.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good week. Stay cool. Get that air conditioning going. See you.